when the main character, Ryan, finally encounters the Guardian of the 12th floor. The whispered legends suddenly prove to be true. Human Slayer releases an aura of orcish terror that saps Ryan's attributes. Ryan counters with blue earth breathing, overpowering the pressure and advancing. The entire floor is structured like a confusing labyrinth. He focuses on the one principle that matters most: speed and movement. Riding atop a zombie wolf, he weaves swiftly around the enemy, strikes viciously from the rear, yet the blow still falls short. Even the curse placed on the wound only drives the orc deeper into a frenzied rampage. Realizing this, Ryan changes tactics. He unleashes waves of disposable undead into the passage, draining their souls to gain a short-lived surge of strength. Afterward, he commands Cornac to assume control. Poison-laced death slowly erode the berserk effect. Cornac then sketches a massive spell circle in the air and follows it up by unleashing a firebolt. The attack finally forces the human slayer to collapse. Ryan ends it using Hand of Death combined with Life Drain. He levels up and notices a new skill, Soul Extraction, with a 57% chance. Ryan decides to risk it, and succeeds though the corpse remains intact. If the Sermon family patrol were to discover the body, his secret as a necromancer would be exposed. That leads to the question of how he reached this situation. Tale opens with distant screams echoing from a basement as the scene shifts inside, revealing the protagonist, Ryan Sarman. He is being tortured by a white-haired man who delights in his suffering due to a supposed curse. Torturer has inflicted countless injuries, fully expecting Ryan to die. Yet Ryan stubbornly clings to life. In agony, he tries to speak but cannot, as his tongue has been removed. Disappointed, the white-haired man leaves, stating Ryan yielded nothing useful despite being of the Sermon family. Tormentor is later revealed to be Sons Phaeton. He has been abusing Ryan for 3 years after annihilating the Sermon household. Speaking of the Sermon family, they are an elite lineage tasked with defending the frontier from monsters, creatures that endlessly spill out from the dark zone. Across the continent exist 5 dominant noble houses. Among them, Sermon stands as the strongest and most celebrated. However, the mysterious vanishing of Ryan's father and older brothers sent the house into a rapid and frightening decline. Seizing the opportunity, House Phaeton struck to eliminate the Sermons. Their true goal was the inherited blessing, the dragon's blood. Bearers of this blood reach Archmage status at 10, and Sword Mastery by 15. Unfortunately, Ryan was excluded because a rare curse appears once every few centuries. This curse belongs to the Demon King Arkan, and was passed on to Ryan. As a result, Ryan was unable to study either magic or swordplay. He is crushed by the thought that Phaeton would not have attacked if he had been strong enough. Still, Ryan grows weary of regret, sensing his death approaching. As foretold, wolves are released upon him. They begin tearing him apart. Ryan shuts his eyes in relief, believing his torment is finally over. As his consciousness slips away, he witnesses visions of himself battling on a strange battlefield. In those visions, he appears overwhelmingly powerful, ruthlessly wiping out his foes, while advancing toward an imposing entity. Clothed in gold, the being grants Ryan a single wish before everything fades. Ryan awakens to the sight of his nanny, calling out his name in shock. Confused, Ryan wonders how she stands before him. She should be dead, yet looks youthful, and the estate appears untouched. Ryan urgently asks her to fetch a mirror, which she promptly does. Upon seeing his reflection, Ryan questions her about the date, learning it is August 17th, year 1892 of the Drea calendar. This revelation stuns Ryan, as it matches the year he was 12. It also marks the beginning of his family's downfall. Ryan struggles to process the situation when a stern man suddenly enters the room. Ryan instantly recognizes him as Alejandro, the captain of the Sermon Knights, who suspects Ryan of pretending to be ill. Seeing Ryan's condition, Alejandro relents and excuses him from training. As he turns to leave, Ryan stops him, declaring he will train anyway and feels fine. Both Alejandro and Colin are stunned by this uncharacteristic resolve. Alejandro even questions whether Ryan is truly himself. Ryan confirms his identity, insisting nothing about him has changed. Unexpectedly, Ryan requests to skip drills and move straight to monster hunting. Deep inside, he knows this is his chance to fix everything and refuses to waste it. Leaving the bed, Ryan realizes he still has access to the status window. He is level 1 with pitiful stats and still bears the high-ranked Archon curse, yet no one else can use this interface. Soon after, Alejandro returns to announce that the monster is prepared. It turns out to be a terrifying goblin. The goblin is restrained, and Ryan must defeat it using only a wooden sword. Standing face to face with the creature, Colin urges Alejandro to intervene, knowing Ryan usually collapses at the sight. Ryan agrees this was once true, but that was the Ryan of yesterday. Now Ryan remains standing before the goblin. Curse activates, amplifying terror to paralyze him. Noticing his hesitation, Alejandro offers him permission to rest, but Ryan refuses again. He forces himself to step closer to the monster. Ryan steadies his breathing, reminding himself he is no longer the same weak boy. and can defeat it. Locking eyes with the goblin, he recalls the golden figure from his vision. That memory ignites his anger and resolve, driving him to strike the goblin hard on the head. Alejandro and Colin are left speechless, witnessing Ryan act for the first time. Notification appears stating Ryan has partially overcome Arkan's curse through transcendent experience, lowering its rank. It becomes clear that Ryan no longer experiences fear toward monsters, as the goblin lies helpless on the ground, pleading to be spared. Ryan calmly asks Alejandro to hand him a proper sword. Alejandro freezes in disbelief at the request. Realization strikes him that Ryan has finally stepped into adulthood. Holding a genuine blade, Ryan advances toward the goblin. He slaughters it without hesitation or pity. Alejandro is speechless at the sight and instructs Colin to observe carefully, because she is witnessing the rise of the next family head. Once the training concludes, Ryan rinses the blood from his face in the washroom. He feels relieved, confirming that growth is possible by surpassing Arkan's curse. Still, the improvement is minimal, which leads him to calculate that at this pace, he would need to slay countless goblins just to gain levels. Ryan realizes time is short, as disaster for the sermon house is fast approaching. At least he is thankful that the Arkan curse can be challenged. It has already been 2 years since his father and brothers vanished. During that time, the family has struggled just to hold onto their status. Since no enemy action has occurred yet, Ryan feels relieved to have found a way to grow stronger. That confirmed, Ryan chooses to test a second possible method. Soon after, a red-haired woman wearing a mask arrives to see Ryan. She is revealed to be Sena, commander of House Sermon's magic corps. Like Alejandro, she is a rare 7th Circle archmage whose past is known only to Ryan's father. Sena immediately scolds Ryan, questioning whether defeating a single goblin has gone to his head. She reminds him that magic training was abandoned because he lacked aptitude. Ryan already understands this, as Arkan's curse stripped him of all natural talent. Ryan smiles, knowing that changed yesterday, and asks Sena to test his mana. Sena instructs him to close his eyes and forms an image using her mana, an image visible only to those who can perceive mana. She challenges Ryan to identify it if he truly claims to be different. Without pause, Ryan answers that it is a stunning red dragon. Sena is stunned that he identified it perfectly, even more so because she disguised the image to resemble something else. Sena paces the room, baffled by how Ryan broke the ancestral curse. Ryan interrupts her thoughts, explaining he can see mana but cannot use the family cultivation method and needs her help. Mana is useless unless it properly settles within the body, and mono-cultivation is another crucial path to gaining strength. Ryan asks Sena to guide mana directly through his body, a process that risks his life in her hands. Ryan jokes lightly, saying he doubts she would kill him. He knows Sena is the only one capable of helping him, even in his past life during the family's fall. Sena stayed by his side until the very end, despite having already exhausted her mana. Remembering this, Ryan reaches out and tells her he trusts her completely. Once they reach an understanding, Ryan removes his shirt and kneels to prepare for cultivation. The Blue Earth method is reserved only for direct descendants. Ryan explains the method fully, surprising Sena with her quick comprehension. He once trained with this technique on the planet Adaean to boost his stats. As the process begins, Sena urges him to stay focused. She warns him of unbearable pain and forbids any screams or complaints. She tells him to stop immediately if the pain exceeds his limit. Ryan shouts back that he trusts her and refuses to stop. Hearing this, Sena intensifies the mono-cultivation process. The curse reacts violently, scattering the mana inside Ryan. Sena is alarmed by the curse's abnormal strength. She continues forcing more mana into him. Ryan groans as the curse nullifies all progress again and again. Ryan realizes Sena alone may not defeat such a high-grade curse. He recalls a training principle from Adaean that causes mana to rebound. By limiting the dispersal range, he tricks the curse while retaining mana within his body. Suddenly, Sena notices the mana is no longer disappearing. Using the technique, Ryan steadily resists the curse. Though the agony is intense, Ryan endures it without complaint. He recalls the countless pains he has survived before. Compared to those, this suffering feels insignificant. He motivates himself by recalling his mastery in Dion and superior mana understanding. Such knowledge is etched into the soul rather than the flesh. Ryan continues battling the curse relentlessly. He refuses to lose to a demon king he has never even encountered. Ryan widens his receptivity and absorbs every trace of mana, till his body finally gives out and collapses. His consciousness slowly fades. Ryan feels no fear, as this pain is trivial compared to his past. Memories surface from his captivity when Alejandro stormed the dungeon to rescue him. By the time Ryan awakened, was already lying in the forest, and Alejandro was gravely wounded. Ryan was stunned that Alejandro came for him. Alejandro apologized for being late before passing away. Ryan wakes in bed with tears streaming down his face. He questions whether the cultivation succeeded, unable to feel joy due to his memories. Still, he vows never to let that tragedy repeat now that he can change fate. However, he wants his progress to remain hidden, especially from House Phaeton, who constantly watches him, as he is not ready to face sons yet. With this realization, Ryan decides to accelerate his family's apparent decline. Later, Alejandro and Sena return to check on it. Ryan tells them the attempt ended in failure. Though he feels guilty lying, he cannot reveal the truth. He doubts they would believe him or benefit from knowing everything. Smiling casually, Ryan claims he cannot sense any mana at all. He invites Sena to verify it herself if she doubts him. Ryan extends his hand as Sena agrees, puzzled by his denial of success. She activates her mana detection skill. To her shock, no mana is detected inside Ryan. She is confused, remembering the clear flow she sensed earlier. Just yesterday, mana was undeniably present within him. Deeply disappointed, Sena turns away with tears welling in her eyes. After Sena leaves the scene, Alejandro consoles Ryan, saying the failed mana transfer is not worth despairing over since the monster hunt succeeded, and sword training remains an option. Ryan then stuns Alejandro by admitting he cannot repeat monster hunting, explaining that even eating became difficult after the first attempt. Alejandro is left speechless, disappointment tightening his chest. For the next 2 months, Ryan never once leaves his room. Colin grows deeply concerned, noticing only the lady of the house is actively struggling to keep the family standing. Other servants question Colin about whether Ryan has gone outside, and she can only answer no. One attendant voices frustration over Ryan isolating himself for months. Another speculates that Ryan may be close to death, explaining his sudden change. Colin snaps back, insisting they are wrong because Ryan always worked desperately to meet expectations. Within the estate, Ryan is branded as the downfall of the Sermon family. Even beyond the estate, the kingdom mocks him as the family's disgrace. Day by day, more employees choose to resign. One attendant privately informs Colin that he too plans to quit at month's end. Meanwhile, Ryan remains secluded in his chamber. While eating breakfast, he notices the food quality declining, a clear sign of worsening finances. Ryan feels pleased, realizing events are unfolding exactly as he intended. In the past, he would have rushed desperately to salvage the family's remains. Now his experience tells him otherwise. He knows lying low will lull enemies into carelessness, and that moment draws closer each day. Previously, the collapse began when the family had vanished, followed by brothers and mages who never returned. As a result, the house lacks both manpower and resources for further searches. The once lively training grounds now host only incompetent knights and apathetic staff. Even retainers from allied noble houses, who once courted favor, disappeared the moment disaster struck, without a backward glance. With the estate now quiet, Ryan takes advantage by remaining locked away. Still, Ryan believes the collapse is progressing too slowly, and he does not have generations to wait. Soon after, Colin enters cheerfully, announcing that training time has arrived and Alejandro awaits. Ryan instantly hides beneath his blanket, claiming he wishes to rest for the day. Colin refuses to accept his excuse. She physically drags Ryan out from under the covers. Colin acts this way because she is determined to stand by the house during its darkest hour. She carries Ryan straight to the training ground where Alejandro waits. Moments later, Alejandro shouts, scolding Ryan for gripping the sword incorrectly. Ryan is amazed by Alejandro's stubborn persistence. Although Ryan wants to honor their loyalty and enthusiasm, he is not prepared to reveal his secret nightly training. He has been using body control, an Aedean assassination technique. The skill masks his physical condition and is currently only partially active. After swinging the sword for some time, Ryan pretends to lose grip and excuses himself to the bathroom. Inside, he realizes the skill remains unstable and will fail if movements are too abrupt. Ryan checks his status window. He discovers he has reached level 3 and gained slight improvements across his stats. Ryan deduces leveling will become far more efficient once his stats reach the 20s. He plans to take a ghost-type Dion role while advancing Necromancer and Assassin classes. Exiting the bathroom, Ryan notices Alejandro speaking with the head butler. Truno Hildo apologizes for interrupting training and says he has something important. He produces a letter, and Ryan immediately recognizes it. Ryan opens the envelope. It contains an invitation to the birthday celebration of Kyle Darren, the kingdom's second prince. Ryan is thrilled, knowing this marks the final step in the Sermon family's collapse. Shortly after, Ryan departs for the capital with Truno, and once they leave the estate, Ryan falls asleep, later explaining he stayed up late while Colin fussed over his clothes. In truth, stopping Colin from following him had been difficult. Neither Sena nor Legendre accompanies them. A massive monster outbreak demanded their immediate attention. Ryan marvels at the timing, as Legendre was forced to deploy to the border. Meanwhile, Sena departs under summons from Ryan's mother, the acting family head. Because of this, 12-year-old Ryan travels as the family's sole representative. Bruno reassures Ryan, claiming no one would dare harm the Sermon bloodline. Ryan disagrees, knowing such protection applied only to the past. With the house weakened, even the family head must personally attend events once handled by servants. Still, Ryan feels calm, as he engineered the circumstances himself. Soon, they arrive at Darren Dearborn's capital. Upon reaching the royal estate, Kyle greets them warmly alongside his attendants. Truno and Ryan bow respectfully before the prince. Truno praises the prince's gracious hospitality, yet Ryan finds the situation unsettling. From the city gates onward, he senses countless eyes fixed on their carriage. Many fear the Sermon family is already crumbling. Rumors about Ryan appear to have spread far and wide. Even nobles direct subtle scorn and mockery toward him. Ryan feels satisfied, recognizing that events align perfectly with his plan. Knowing they view him as a failure, Ryan chooses to act the part. 5 days pass without Ryan leaving his room, worrying the servants. They expected him to socialize, yet he avoids all interaction. Eventually, the youngest servant is sent to check on him. Ryan surprises him by announcing he will attend the banquet that evening. When the servants hear this news, they celebrate, relieved their young master is emerging again. Ryan requests secrecy until the event itself. He knows the servants will finally relax once the banquet begins. Ryan has been training non-stop these past days, grateful for the lack of interruptions. Attends the banquet to advance a hidden scheme, one that hinges on Sons Phaeton's presence. That evening, Sons arrives at the grand hall. He enters proudly, radiating arrogance. Sons approaches Truno to greet him. Truno visibly stiffens in discomfort. Sons asks about the infamous Ryan, claiming he heard they arrived early. Truno bristles at the comment, restrains his anger, and asks Sons what he means by infamous. Sons mocks the Sermon downfall, placing the blame squarely on Ryan. Truno nearly snaps, but remembers Sons is a fifth circle mage at just 15. Sons behaves boldly, backed by his powerful family. Truno fumes at the insult, but Sons dismisses it as mere rumor while pretending concern. Truno knows Sons is lying, aware of his violent past and early crimes. Truno is on the verge of exploding, and the announcement of Ryan's arrival echoes through the hall. Ryan enters with refined grace, his appearance striking and composed. Truno is stunned, having never expected Ryan to step out of his room. Ryan's polished look makes the nobles whisper excitedly, as he looks nothing like the rumors describe. Their opinions of the Sermon family begin to shift, even as the house teeters on collapse. Sons, meanwhile, burns with anger as Ryan's entrance steals the spotlight he craved. Ryan approaches Sons and greets him, saying he heard much about him from his elder brother Roz. Roz was the fourth son, who vanished after their father disappeared. Sons tries to redirect the conversation, but Ryan continues calmly, mentions that Roz once described Sons as an exceptionally kind individual. Ryan adds that they attended the same academy, and Sons' reputation spread rapidly even after his early departure. Ryan's tone turns sharply sarcastic. He praises Sons for standing up for a bullied student and for intervening in the harassment of a female classmate. By now, Sons is barely containing his fury. Ryan pushes further, hinting at a story Roz told him involving a knee. Truno hurriedly interrupts, claiming Roz said Sons brought medicine for a knee injury. He grabs Ryan and pulls him aside, insisting he has something important to discuss. As Ryan passes Sons, he catches the look of pure rage on his face. In truth, this reaction is exactly what Ryan wants. Sons' anger is a crucial element of his strategy. Sons storms back to his room. He smashes a vase against the wall, his mind replaying every word exchanged with Ryan. Sons remembers being expelled from the academy and knows Roz was aware of the truth. The thought of that humiliation resurfacing fills him with fear and rage. Back during his academy days, Sons had targeted a girl close to Roz, prompting Roz to confront him. Sons claimed ignorance, saying he thought she was a commoner unworthy of concern. That excuse only enraged Roz further, who demanded Sons kneel and beg forgiveness after harming her with magic. Roz warned he would kill Sons if he did not sincerely apologize. This incident became the origin of the infamous knee story Ryan nearly exposed. Alone in his room, Sons' fury continues to spiral. He finally decides it is time to enact the plan he has long prepared. His goal is to crush Ryan as swiftly as possible. Still boiling with hatred, Sons barely calms down when an unexpected visitor arrives. Truno. After the banquet concludes, Ryan and his escorts prepare to return to the estate. Ryan feels satisfied, as his performance erased the image of a malicious rumor spreader and replaced it with that of a pitiful heir. He is pleased that Sons swallowed the bait exactly as planned. Truno tells Ryan he was impressed, believing the hope of the Sermon family still flickers. Ryan counters, saying he merely failed to form alliances and even provoked House Phaeton. Truno stammers, admitting Ryan's behavior before Sons was thrilling to watch. Ryan smiles quietly at the remark. He immediately activates the carriage's soundproof barrier, leaving Truno visibly shaken. Ryan tells Truno that if he truly believed hope remained, he would never have betrayed his own family. Truno feigns ignorance at the accusation. Ryan states bluntly that Truno's crimes are severe, even if committed with intent to protect the house. He adds that forgiveness is possible, only because Truno acted for the family's sake. Realizing he has been exposed, Truno asks how much Ryan knows, and Ryan replies that the outcome is inevitable. Ryan offers him a chance, asking Truno to listen carefully and decide for himself. He then reveals his entire plan in detail. Ryan finishes, even Truno is left stunned. He cannot believe such a ruthless scheme came from Ryan. It forces him to question who Ryan truly is. At the same time, tears of pride well in Truno's eyes, as Ryan exceeds all expectations. Ryan calmly states that he already knows Truno's decision, because Truno has already strayed from the royal road. Truno watches Ryan, confused by his calm smile in the face of danger. He suddenly realizes it is not a smile at all, but a cold and merciless killing intent. At that moment, the carriage abruptly halts. Guard questions the driver about the sudden stop. He urges him forward, then freezes. Discovering the driver has already been killed, the guard instantly realizes they are under attack. He shouts orders for the others to defend the carriage. Arrows rain down, as the commander yells for mages to raise a barrier. The barrier holds, though several soldiers are pierced by arrows. Guards are stunned that anyone would dare assault the Sermon family. They scramble to regroup around the carriage, until a report reaches the commander that Ryan has disappeared. It is revealed that Truno abducted Ryan and escaped with him. As they flee, Truno repeatedly casts debilitating spells on Ryan. Ryan dispels them all, but pretends to remain unconscious to observe the outcome. Ryan knows the guards must be panicking over his disappearance. His past life, their desperate search for him hastened the family's ruin and total collapse. Now, Ryan believes he can exploit this incident to control the timing and outcome. Before the abduction, Ryan had explained his plan to Truno to fake the family's downfall, warned that openly trying to save the house would provoke the other noble families. In their weakened state, the Sermons could not withstand a united assault. Ryan admits he spread rumors to make himself appear harmless, so others would lower their guard. Even so, he knows House Phaeton will move regardless and never stop hunting him. Aware of this, Ryan tells Truno he intends to exploit every factor available. He explains that provoking Sons ensures any move will happen during the return journey. Ryan adds that having an insider would make things even better. He asks Truno to choose whether this incident marks total ruin or the rebirth of the Sermon family. The events unfolding exactly as Ryan planned. Truno rides away with bound Ryan, tears streaming down his face. Ryan orders him to follow through, stating this is the only path to redemption. Meanwhile, Ryan refines his stats, and soon all of them reach level 20, the threshold he had been waiting for. Shortly after, Truno meets Sons and his knights at the agreed location. Sons is surprised Truno personally delivers Ryan, confirming their deal. Sons produces a scroll containing the information Truno demanded. Sons reassures Truno that the intelligence came from the Asan family, meaning it has already been verified. He explains that Asan is a highly respected house on the Drea continent, famous for assassination and information brokerage. Because of that reputation, Sons insists Asan would never deal in false reports. Truno notes that the documents detail sightings of the missing heirs of the Sermon family. During this, Ryan finally grasps the true reason behind Truno's betrayal. Truno believed selling off the weak heir Ryan would allow him to search for the capable elder brothers. Ryan understands that if Asan truly held such information, Truno would never have survived this long. After Sons hands over the files, he labels Truno a traitor and declares his role finished. Truno coldly reminds Sons to honor his promise. Sons assures him the captured soldiers will be spared. With their agreement settled, Truno departs carrying the information. One of Sons' subordinates asks if the soldiers should be eliminated, but Sons refuses. He says the Sermons will easily trace the betrayal to Truno, and Sons wants him to return for the next phase. Meanwhile, Sons is thrilled, believing Ryan is now completely under his control. Shortly after, Ryan awakens in a basement to see Sons looming over him. Sons bursts into manic laughter, mocking Ryan's miserable condition. Ryan plays along, asking what Sons thinks he is doing, and Sons smugly replies that he kidnapped the noble blood of Sermon. Ryan asks what comes next, and Sons laughs, convinced Ryan has no leverage. Sons grips Ryan's head, mentioning things he may have heard from his brother Roz. Without warning, Sons kicks Ryan violently in the head. He snarls that defying House Phaeton was a grave mistake. Sons mocks Ryan, revealing Truno sold him out for clues about his brothers. Declares that no one will come to save Ryan. Sons claims Ryan's kidnapping is the spark that will ignite war between Sermon and Phaeton. Ryan sneers back, calling Sons a noisy bird that never stops talking. This remark enrages Sons, angrily activates a magic circle aimed at Ryan. To his shock, the spell has no effect. Sons shrugs it off, believing Ryan only bought himself a moment. Sons steps closer with murderous intent. Ryan calmly tells him once more that he talks far too much. Suddenly, a magic circle strikes Sons' throat, instantly sealing his voice. Sons clutches his neck in agony. Ryan explains he used a silence spell that locked Sons' upper circle magic. Ryan laughs, asking how a mage plans to fight without chanting. Enraged, Sons launches a fire vault spell that requires no incantation. He intentionally uses a low-tier spell, as killing Ryan is forbidden by his father. Sons aims the attack at Ryan's leg to cripple him. Instead, the spell does absolutely nothing. Ryan points out it was only a second circle spell. Confident, Sons prepares a third circle. Just as he releases it, Ryan disrupts the mana flow mid-cast, sending sharp pain through Sons' hand. Sons screams as Ryan explains he can nullify magic past a set threshold and mocks his helplessness. Unable to rely on magic, Sons draws a dagger. Before he can act, Ryan snaps his chains apart, shocking Sons. Ryan tells him breaking chains is effortless. Ryan activates another spell. Paralysis enchantment slams Sons to the floor. Sons howls in pain. Ryan tells him to look around carefully, because this time their positions are reversed. Later, Sons wakes restrained, with Ryan gripping his dagger. Sons spits insults, calling Ryan worthless. He is shocked he can speak again, and realizes the chains are ordinary. Believing Ryan foolish, Sons uses Wind Cut. The spell rebounds, tearing into him as Ryan mocks his arrogance. Sons is baffled by the backlash, without any visible magic circle. Ryan explains he would never bind a mage without safeguards. He reveals magic circles carved across his own body. Sons is horrified by this revelation. Ryan tears his shirt open, exposing the grotesque blood circle etched into his flesh. Ryan reminds Sons this was done to him before while fully conscious. Sons demands to know how Ryan learned such forbidden magic. Ryan explains it stems from his past memories and time on a day-in. 3 months earlier, Ryan focused first on leveling his concealment skill. Gaining new skills was effortless thanks to secret circuits learned in a day-in. Every skill functions through a unique circuit fueled by mana. Only masters can perceive circuits, and Ryan remembers everyone he acquired. This allows him to instantly gain skills once conditions are met. Using concealment, he secretly installed traps throughout the basement in advance. Ryan is pleased Sons walked straight into the setup, meant to amplify his suffering. Soon after, Sons begs Ryan to stop tormenting him with the blade. Ryan casually suggests taking a short break. Sons weakly thanks him. Moments later, Sons' pride resurfaces. He warns Ryan that Phaeton forces will arrive soon. Ryan replies calmly, asking if he means in a week, stunning Sons. Ryan explains Sons ordered his men to return in a week to enjoy the torture. Sons panics, realizing Ryan was never unconscious. Ryan also knows of the Fingers, House Phaeton's secret execution unit. Sons desperately claims he is telling the truth. Ryan answers with a brutal punch to his mouth. Ryan tells Sons to scream freely, as he will not touch him again today. Sons begins wailing uncontrollably. Ryan shifts focus to preparing for the elite unit's arrival. With a week remaining, he knows no error is acceptable. 1 week later, figures in terrifying attire appear at the location. They are shocked by Sons. Complete silence during the entire week. The squad leader asks if any unusual activity was detected. Men report constant surveillance with no changes observed. The leader worries Sons may have killed Ryan by accident. Their orders are clear. Ryan must be retrieved alive. Leader announces he will enter the basement. States that commands from the family head override Sons' authority. The squad leader blasts the door open. He orders his men to stay back as he proceeds alone. Squad leader carefully makes his way down into the basement below. A heavy sense of danger washes over him, yet he detects no active mana presence at all. In a split second, he understands that his foot has triggered a hidden mechanism. Reacting instantly, he casts barrier magic to shield his body. He quickly realizes that something terrible must have happened to Sons, and begins scanning the surroundings with magic to locate additional traps. Shocked, he discovers numerous traps lining the path, confirming that the intruder knows the facility's structure extremely well. The squad leader starts questioning whether the enemy is an outsider or someone tied to the Sermon family. As he advances further, he reinforces his barrier, making it sturdier with each step. He vows to make whoever dared challenge the finger of the Phaeton family regret it deeply. Shortly after, he finally reaches the basement chamber. There he finds Sons covered in blood, the floor soaked with it. Without hesitation, he sprints toward Sons. He shatters the chains binding Sons in place. Holding him up, he urgently asks what happened. Sons attempts to answer, but can barely force the words out. To be certain, the squad leader examines Sun's mana to verify his identity. In another corner, Ryan is also bound and lying motionless. Suns weakly asks for a recovery potion, but the squad leader insists they leave the basement first. He points out that the enemy is still unseen, and the room itself is riddled with traps, making the situation extremely risky. He wonders why the attacker subdued Suns, yet left Ryan alive. Concluding that Ryan is likely bait, he still chooses to prioritize rescuing Suns and completing his mission. As he struggles to help Sun escape, Sun gathers his remaining strength and reveals that the attacker is Ryan. The revelation leaves the squad leader completely stunned. He decides to cast a 7th circle binding spell on Ryan, so only he alone can move him. Incantation, Ryan suddenly appears behind him and mocks his excessive caution. Startled, the squad leader cancels the spell and launches a fireball toward Ryan. The attack misses entirely, confirming that what he struck was merely an illusion. Almost immediately, he coughs up blood as backlash from interrupting the 7th circle spell hits him. Ryan's voice echoes again, confidently stating that the backlash will fade quickly. Declaring himself a grand mage, Ryan says the squad leader should have eliminated him upon entry since something clearly felt wrong. Furious, the squad leader realizes Ryan is toying with him using illusion tricks. Despite facing someone equally skilled in illusion magic, he unleashes a powerful spell designed to dispel all illusions in the area. Magic proves highly effective at clearing the room. Yet before he can relax, Ryan is already lunging toward him with a dagger in hand. He effortlessly evades the strike, scolds Ryan for his overconfidence. A swift counterattack sends Ryan crashing backward. He smugly tells Ryan that cheap tricks will never catch him off guard. Determined to teach a lesson, he prepares to melt half of Ryan's face, claiming the family head would approve. Assumes this reckless charge was Ryan's final move, believing any real ace would have been used earlier. Still boasting about the might of the Phaeton family, he suddenly notices something strange. The dagger on the ground begins to fade, signaling yet another illusion. Before he can respond, a blade plunges into his neck from behind. Turning around, he is horrified to see Suns holding the dagger. Suns coldly states that he despises arrogance. He then asks if the squad leader knows of soul transfer, explaining that Ryan now inhabits Sun's body while Sun's soul is trapped in Ryan's unconscious form, adding that the family head's orders prevent the squad leader from killing him. Ryan further explains that part of the magic circle carved onto Suns' body enables soul transfer and body control. He proudly declares this technique to be his true trump card. Gurgling blood, the squad leader forces out one final massive fireball meant to catch Ryan off guard. Instead, the squad leader takes the brunt of it, his mask shattering as he dies. Ryan remains unharmed inside Sun's body. He retrieves the squad leader's recovery potion and pours it over his injured body. The pain is unbearable, but Ryan welcomes the scars since they are essential to his future plans for Suns' body. Ryan celebrates his victory over a formidable 7th circle archmage. Status window suddenly appears, announcing a level increase and quest completion. Ryan finds this odd, understanding the level gain but puzzled by the completed quest. Still, he is pleased to see his level jump from 2 all the way to 15, which makes sense after defeating an archmage. He wonders if the massive gain is tied to the quest itself. Ultimately, he sets the thought aside, having more urgent matters to handle. Ryan drags the squad leader's corpse across the room, places it on a table, intending to use it later as its success will influence his future schemes. Since magical circuits are engraved into the soul rather than the flesh, Ryan can still access his own mana despite occupying Sun's body. He begins channeling mana into the circuit, sacrificing 5 levels in the process. He quickly unlocks the hidden class known as Shadow. This assassin-type class requires at least 20 agility and 15 mana to obtain. Ryan is satisfied that the class acquisition succeeded, yet he believes his remaining levels might allow him to unlock 2 more classes. Ryan immediately gets back to work. After channeling sufficient mana once more, he unlocks the advanced class Necromancer Hand of Death. Relieved by the success, Ryan reflects that surpassing his original plan was only possible due to defeating the squad leader. With unexpected levels left over, he considers attempting a 3rd class chain, hoping to obtain the hidden class Ghost. This class once propelled him to the top of Edian due to its exceptional synergy with Necromancer and Assassin, something any Necromancer enthusiast would admire. However, acquiring Ghost carries an extremely high risk of failure. Even so, Ryan is willing to gamble, knowing the potential reward is enormous. Ryan steels himself and continues, pouring mana again as his levels steadily drop. The strain worsens when a notification warns that his soul is damaged and requires rest. He feels intense agony, as though his entire body is breaking apart. Doubt creeps in, making him question whether reaching an upper class is even possible. Just as despair threatens to overwhelm him, he recalls the suffering he endured in the past, remembering Senya and Alejandro sacrificing their lives for him. These memories harden his resolve. Despite the pain, He declares his willingness to offer his soul if it grants him the upper class of ghosts. After several agonizing minutes of struggle, brilliant light bursts forth. The system announces that his soul is sufficiently strong and that the hidden class is activating. Ryan had anticipated a different outcome. Instead, he receives something even greater, the upper ghost class known as Phantom. Ryan is taken aback because this is a phenomenon he has never encountered before. Still, he assumes it should resemble Ghost, since it stands as Ghost's higher evolution. With all his objectives achieved, he concludes that the moment has come to execute his initial scheme. Apparently, Ghost's original passive trait is meant to greatly amplify a necromancer's undead arts. It also becomes clear that slaying the 7th Circle Mage was a deliberate step in his design. Now all that remains is to hope everything unfolds as intended, because if it succeeds, his entire plan will progress much faster than expected. At that moment, he activates the skill, Lick Creation, an attempt to bind the Archmage under his control. Normally, this demands a Necromancer level of 70 or higher, but with a 7th Circle Mage as the vessel, Ryan is certain it will succeed. Ryan then receives a notice stating that Lick Creation failed, yet a special undead creation has begun instead. Ryan stares in disbelief as an undead entity slowly rises from the shadows and asks Ryan what name it should bear. Moments later, a thunderous explosion shakes the entire facility, leaving the unit stationed outside utterly stunned. Shortly after, Ryan emerges in Sun's body, with his original body slung over his shoulder. Before the unit can bombard him with foolish questions, he calmly states that the chaos was caused by the squad leader. Ryan continues misleading them by claiming betrayal within the family, shocking the unit as he points to the scars on his body as proof. He adds that the squad leader is sealed by an artifact that will not last long, then announces his departure with the unconscious Ryan. He orders them to stall for time so he can return safely to the family estate. Promising reinforcements and generous rewards, he urges them to keep the squad leader restrained until help arrives. With that, Ryan swiftly departs, and this marks the final time Sons is ever seen. The unit later delivers their report to another 7th Circle Mage of House Phaeton. Pyrrhus, upon hearing it, he is shocked that no trace of his fellow mage was found afterward. Squad leader known as AK within the facility. He questions the messenger, asking if they alone know of that night's events. The answer he receives is affirmative. This proves fatal, as another masked figure appears behind him and drives a blade through his neck, ending his life in a swift and brutal manner. Pyrrhus warns the masked man that Sun's disappearance could cause serious trouble, but exposing their involvement in Ryan's abduction would place them in even deeper danger. Suddenly, Pierce hears loud unrest outside, which is soon revealed to be Alejandro. He is furious, shouting threats of slaughter toward everyone in the camp. Pyrrhus exits his tent, demanding why Alejandro trespassed without notice, risking war, while Alejandro counters that Phaeton started it and demands Ryan be handed over immediately. Alejandro states that suspicion is gone, pointing out a mysterious fire near the border just 1 week after Ryan vanished. He adds that a hidden underground facility was uncovered, and that Phaeton's sudden camp nearby suggests a cover-up. Pyrrhus denies any knowledge of Ryan's disappearance and reveals that Sons has also gone missing. Pyrrhus asks for cooperation in the search, but Alejandro harshly silences him. Alejandro declares that Phaeton will not interfere until the Sermon family completes its own investigation. Tension thickens between both sides, while Truno watches from afar, stunned by the troop deployment and praying conflict is avoided. As Truno speaks, Sena suddenly confronts him, accusing him of being a traitor with no right to speak. Cold sweat pours down Truno's face as he realizes his betrayal has been exposed. Sena tells him that without Ryan's message, he would already be dead. Sena orders Truno to stay silent unless it directly concerns Ryan's search. Truno reveals that Ryan promised to leave a trace behind, and he is confident the Phaeton family lacks the means to detect it. Only the Sermon family's unique cultivation can find it, prompting Sena to search while hoping to sense Ryan's mana again. Not long after, Sena locks onto the trail Ryan left behind. To everyone's shock, they discover Sons hanging lifelessly from a tree. A message carved on his body labels him the kidnapper and calls for punishment. Beneath him lies a letter left behind by Ryan, which Sena immediately retrieves. Ryan left it knowing only Sena would ever find it. The letter explains that Ryan once planned to possess Sun's body to destroy House Phaeton from within, but feared the 8th Circle family head would detect the soul transfer. Furthermore, returning to the Sermon family could ignite war, something the weakened house could not endure, leaving complete disappearance as his only remaining option. Still, he chooses to leave this explanation for Sena. After finishing the letter, Sena ignores Truno's questions and burns it without hesitation. She then tells Truno it is time to head home, warning that much work lies ahead for them. Sometime later, a young boy named Ryan is seen sprinting through city streets. It is clear Ryan and Ryan are the same person, and an old man directs him to the guild where the leader awaits. 3 months after the incident, the scene shifts to Phaeton, capital of the Feinstroy Kingdom. The feud between Sermon and Phaeton has become a hot topic among citizens. Many believe the conflict began when a Phaeton traitor abducted the last heir of Sermon. Despite this, how Sermon later accepted compensation from Phaeton, since neither the culprit nor the child was found. Some argue the reparations should have been refused. Hidden in a corner of the city is the Phaeton branch of the assassination guild, Mardong, where two elite members discuss the Sermon and Phaeton affair. One is the branch head Sapphire, a second-class assassin. The other is Duns, who reports that Truna was executed by Alejandro for aiding the traitor. Shortly after, Ryan arrives to meet Sapphire. Sapphire escorts Ryan into her office, presenting him with an official recommendation letter for Mardong membership. However, she explains that one final test remains, declaring it will serve as his first true mission. Sapphire admits she sees little need to test him again, given he reached Mardong's final trial in Phaeton within 2 months. Proudly declares a rare talent has emerged among them. Ryan humbly agrees, but insists he is far from matching her rank. Sapphire smiles at his modesty, a stark contrast to his attitude when they first met. This detail remains unknown to the public, but Ryan once quietly approached the Assassin's Guild, placing a massive sum of money on the table to request an assassination. Ryan says he had no qualms, since he believed the guild accepted any job for the right price. Sapphire replies that money was never the... He simply felt she might never encounter another client so extraordinary. From day one, she was intrigued because Ryan paid a fortune to order his own death. After their dull conversation ends, Ryan leaves, asking her to summon him when the test begins. Once Ryan departs, a strange man wreathed in purple aura appears, asking if Sapphire's decision was driven by emotion. Sapphire replies that it goes beyond that, revealing Ryan completed all assassination training in just 1 month. Feat unheard of, as the same training typically requires 5 to 10 years, making him an exceptional talent. She then asks Cal whether his investigation is complete. Cal explains that his search into the name Ryan revealed only that the boy was found on the streets and trained by an unidentified mentor who later vanished. That disappearance pushed Ryan to join the guild in hopes of learning more, though the strangest detail remains his request to have himself assassinated to prove his worth. Sapphire admits she finds the report difficult to fully believe. Cal reassures her that every detail he shared has been verified. He even visited the location where Ryan claimed to have lived with his master. Evidence showed that someone had indeed been staying there until not long ago. Despite completing his investigation thoroughly, Sapphire cannot shake the suspicion that Ryan is actually Ryan Sermon, the vanished heir of House Sermon, and she doubts it is coincidence that Ryan disappeared just as a boy of the same age appeared. Cal responds that the likelihood of Ryan being Ryan is extremely small, prompting Sapphire to question his reasoning. Cal reminds her that Ryan was known to lack mana and sword talent, a fact observed since his birth. Because of that, Cal believes the powerless Ryan could never display Ryan's abilities, though he offers to continue investigating if Sapphire insists. Sapphire decides the current findings are sufficient. Still, she asks Cal to dig into Ryan's mysterious master, since raising such talent is no ordinary feat. Anyone capable of that must be exceptional. Unbeknownst to them, Ryan is secretly listening to the entire exchange. This is made possible through his necromantic abilities. Ryan is also pleased to realize the levels lost during his class transition have been restored, confirming that investing mana into body control was a worthwhile gamble. This grants him the ability to alter his appearance and bypass mana detection entirely. Ryan feels a surge of pride knowing he can now deceive even a second-class assassin's senses. Beyond that, Ryan recalls the special undead he created earlier and decides to name it Cornac. When Ryan first revealed Cornac, he was stunned to discover the undead could grow stronger like a player, especially since it lacked any descriptive information. Curious, Ryan examined Cornac's magical circuit, which unexpectedly triggered a quest titled Avenger. Ryan was shocked by this discovery, as he never imagined quests could exist here, let alone be hidden within an undead circuit. At the time, Ryan views Cornac as a mana-hungry burden that drains shared experience, though he believes Cornac will prove invaluable someday. Later, Duns encounters Ryan at the training grounds and notices his distracted demeanor. When asked, Ryan lies that he is dreaming of becoming an official member and eventually leading the Mardong branch, which earns Duns's approval given Ryan's rapid growth. However, Ryan must compete against 2 others, Paula and Lin, with only 1 earning success. Duns explains that this final assessment determines official status as a 5th-grade assassin. He states plainly that the one who eliminates the target earns guild membership. Before starting the race, Duns asks them to summarize what they know about the target. One trainee reports the target is Alec, a 47-year-old merchant who owns a solid business and travels with 3 mercenaries. 2 are bronze-rank fighters, while the 3rd is a silver-rank mage. Rumors suggest Alec recently took a young concubine, whom he visits nightly. During those visits, the mercenaries are said to keep their distance. Duns praises their preparation, noting he gave only the name, though he warns Alec may not visit his concubine that night, which highlights why the guild values thorough intelligence gathering. Since Ryan remains silent, Duns asks whether he intends to share his own findings. Ryan calmly asks if doing so is mandatory. His response leaves the other two stunned. Ryan explains that cooperation would benefit everyone, but since only one can pass, he sees no reason to give up his advantage. Paula and Lynn immediately scold Ryan, insisting they are allies. Ryan sharpens the insult by claiming they learned nothing about true camaraderie during training. Duns intervenes, stating that Ryan's logic is sound since this is a personal trial. He emphasizes that using one's own strengths is key, and applying training matters most. Internally, Duns is impressed, knowing that exploitation and detachment define assassins. Once his explanation ends, Duns signals the trio to begin the assassination attempt. Months earlier, Duns had been stunned when Sapphire ordered his unit to eliminate Ryan within 3 days. The mission promised a reward of 100 gold. Failure, however, meant Ryan would join Martong's Fainton branch as a special trainee. Duns had laughed at the idea, telling Ryan he would not last even 10 minutes. Yet 3 days later, Ryan evaded capture entirely, his traps and schemes driving Duns's men mad. As a result, Sapphire had no choice but to accept him into training. She deliberately chose the harshest target to demonstrate how unforgiving Martong truly is. Meanwhile, Paula successfully infiltrates the estate. After disabling the alarm magic, soon discovers additional mercenaries and is forced into a desperate chase. Lynn, meanwhile, conceals herself effectively, benefiting from Paula drawing most of the guards away. Apparently, whenever Alec faces an assassination attempt, he always flees to his main wife's chamber. Inside, Alec and his wife argue over the repeated attempts on his life. Alec reassures her that the room is secure, guarded by 2 trusted mercenaries outside. Lynn reaches the ceiling above the chamber, positioning herself directly over the arguing couple. Seeing only a handful of ordinary guards nearby, she debates whether a direct strike is viable. Suddenly, the argument grows heated. Peering through a small opening in the ceiling, Lynn witnesses the wife holding a knife, declaring her patience has run out. She vents her exhaustion with Alec's lies and indulgence, accusing him of stealing family funds to support his concubine. Before Alec can respond, she drives the blade into his neck, blood spilling instantly. Shock follows as she begins trembling uncontrollably, murmuring in disbelief over what she has done. Her sobs alert the guards outside, who rush to ask what is wrong. Elsewhere, Lynn questions whether the mission counts as success or failure, since the wife killed the target. She also realizes Ryan has yet to appear since the operation began. Later, Lynn reports back to Duns, claiming the mission failed because Alec died by his wife's hand. She is stunned to see Ryan already present and wonders if he ever went to the mansion at all. Soon after, Paula returns as well, badly wounded. He explains he barely escaped because the mercenaries suddenly turned on one another. Duns announces that the test has concluded and clarifies that it was not a failure, as Ryan completed the task. Paula and Lynn react in disbelief, since Alec died at his wife's hands, not theirs. Duns explains that everything unfolded due to Ryan's manipulation, forcing Alec's wife to carry out the deed herself. Paula and Lynn are left utterly speechless. Seeing their confusion, Duns instructs Ryan to explain exactly what he did. Deep inside, Lynn assumes Ryan will dodge the question and ask why he even needs to explain himself. To her surprise, Ryan calmly says he intends to explain everything in full. Ryan states that the key to the entire plan lay between Alec and his wife. Paulo is stunned and asks if Ryan exploited inside knowledge from the branch manager. But Ryan replies that he gathered intel the same way Paula and Lynn did. Ryan confirms that the information about Alec bringing in a new mistress and the guard arrangement was accurate. However, he explains that while they were still planning, he had already completed his own investigation and was acting on a prepared strategy. This revelation shocks both of them, prompting Paula to challenge Ryan directly. Paula asks how Ryan could investigate Alec when he claimed not to know the target beforehand, and Ryan answers that Alec was not his only focus. He admits to collecting data on every notorious individual in the city who might become an assassination target, even bribing rumor-sensitive merchants to prepare in advance. Ryan explains that finishing 2 months of training in just 1 month gave him time to plan assassinations for countless possibilities, ensuring instant readiness. Only then do the two realize that Ryan had effectively memorized the entire book before the test began. Ryan adds that during his investigation, he discovered someone harboring extreme hatred toward Alec. The person was Alec's wife, Kelly, whom Ryan approached while she was already mentally cornered, then suggested she employ the assassination guild as a solution. The moment Ryan explains this, even Duns is left speechless. Ryan reveals that Alec neglected Kelly, constantly brought in mistresses, and even used funds from her family to finance his behavior, driving her hatred to murderous levels. At the same time, Kelly did not initially want Alec dead, so Ryan advised her to hire more guards and strengthen security to merely frighten him. Ryan then instructed her that, whenever Alec visited her, she should frame the disturbances as plots by a mistress and a hidden lover, with the intent of snapping Alec back to his senses. Since Kelly was frequently drunk, she accepted the story without much resistance. Had events stopped there, everything would have unfolded according to her wishes. But just before the assassination began, Ryan told her one final truth. He revealed that the money Alec spent on his mistress came entirely from her family, under the guise of business expenses. Hearing this, Duns and the others finally realized that from the very start. They had all been dancing to Ryan's tune. Duns then admits there is still one point he struggles to accept. No matter how enraged Kelly was, he doubts she would ever stab her husband to death. Ryan responds that he simply gave her a slight push, mixing an alchemy potion into the liquor delivered to Alec's home. To minimize casualties, Ryan also added the potion to the water the mercenaries drank, prompting Paula to ask what the potion did. Ryan explains it clouds judgment and amplifies rage, which makes Paula realize this also caused the mercenaries to fight each other. Ryan smugly remarks that while he may lack teamwork lessons, he still ensured no fellow trainees or guild members die. Lynn and Paula flush red upon hearing this. Duns then declares that everything unfolded exactly as Ryan planned and congratulates him on passing the test. He reminds them that an assassination does not require personally holding the blade. Ryan adds that the guild can still collect the commission, along with extra payment from Kelly. Ryan explains that although Kelly became the killer, the guild alone knows the truth since the break-in covers her involvement. To ensure silence, Kelly would willingly pay additional funds. Duns and the other two stand, completely stunned, realizing how terrifying Ryan's mind truly is. Paula decides that settling for second place is best, as competing with Ryan now feels pointless. Duns orders Paula and Lynn back to the guild, while Ryan stays behind for a private discussion. After the two leave, Duns scolds Ryan for turning Kelly into a murderer, burdened with lifelong guilt. He snaps that the guild creates assassins, not monsters. Ryan responds that he once believed Kelly was an ordinary one. However, every mistress Alec brought home had been eliminated by Kelly, while Alec ran criminal ventures like drugs and gambling that ruined countless lives. Kelly used her family's influence to dispose of the mistresses cleanly, keeping her own hands unstained. Even as Alec grew tired of her, he continued bringing women in, fully aware they would die. Ryan explains that Kelly's family falsified their deaths as disappearances, leaving families still searching. Ryan states that this was everything he uncovered. He adds that exam or not, it was a legitimate contract, and full payment only comes when the target dies. Ryan confidently states that judging whether a target deserves death is not an assassin's concern. He challenges Dunn by asking whether assassins should abandon contracts to weigh morality instead. Ryan clarifies that Kelly never said she did not want Alec dead. She used the guild to achieve it, and though she delivered the final blow, an assassin still orchestrated the death. Duns asks if Ryan is saying conscience has no place in assassination. Ryan replies that to preserve humanity, one must grow strong enough to change the system itself. Before departing, Ryan tells Duns that conscience cannot exist while bound to the guild's chains. Soon after, a ceremony officially recognizes Ryan as a full Martong member and 5th-grade assassin. Upon receiving the title, Ryan is notified that the quest is complete. His level rises, and a bonus quest is also awarded. Ryan smiles quietly at the result. The system informs him that he gained Lynn and Paula's respect and met Duns's expectations, granting extra experience. Sapphire announces that he can now accept official Mardong requests and apply for promotion if conditions are met. Ryan notes that completing a single request worth at least 30 gold is also required. Sapphire is visibly surprised by his remark. She admits it is true, and Ryan immediately asks how much the Alec request paid. Question shocks everyone present. Even Sapphire is taken aback. She reluctantly answers that the advance was 10 gold, with another 10 upon completion, and 10 more for the cover-up. Tension fills the room instantly, as everyone waits for Ryan's conclusion. Ryan states that since he brought the request, completed it, and secured extra payment, he has already met the promotion condition of a single contract, exceeding 30 gold. Sapphire nearly loses her composure, but Ryan presses on, formally requesting promotion to 4th-grade Great Assassin. Sapphire snaps back, accusing him of excessive arrogance. She acknowledges his achievements, yet believes he is already looking down on the guild. Sapphire reminds him that every organization has its hierarchy and values. She explains that only 4th-grade Great Assassins and above are truly recognized, and many take pride in slowly earning that rank. After finishing her speech, Sapphire accuses Ryan of ignoring everything she said. She admits his conditions may technically be met, but warns this path will breed resentment. Turning away, Sapphire says she will disregard his request. Ryan stops her, stating he has no intention of withdrawing his application. Sapphire's patience nearly snaps, until Duns intervenes, asking to speak as Rian's test supervisor. Sapphire reluctantly allows it. Duns states that Rian is qualified to attempt the 4th grade promotion test. He explains it is not arrogance, but something essential Ryan demonstrated during the mission. Sapphire demands clarification on what that essential trait was. Duns explains that Ryan demonstrated pure physical capability. He states that Ryan fully embodied the fundamentals of an assassin. Lynn and Paula are confused, since Ryan relied mostly on strategy. Duns explains that the 4th grade test requires physical prowess, and this mission revealed Ryan's true limits while offering a chance to humble him. The room gradually agrees, recalling how Ryan evaded them using traps during tag training. After hearing Duns's reasoning, Sapphire reluctantly approves the promotion test. She warns that even seasoned assassins risk their lives attempting it. Sapphire asks Ryan one final time if he is prepared. Without any hesitation, Ryan tells the woman that he is fully capable of handling the challenge. Later that evening, Ryan shares a meal with Duns, Lynn, and Paula. They ask him directly whether he feels ready for the upcoming test. Duns explains that the exam will not take place for at least 1 or 2 months, as a proper target must first be selected. Curious, Duns asks if Ryan plans to train during that time, but Ryan surprises them by saying he intends to rest instead. Rian adds that as a newly recognized guild member, he is permitted to leave the territory for a while and plans to do so. Duns confirms this is allowed, and Ryan assures them he will return before the test begins. After all, nothing is tying him down at the moment. Duns tells Rian to spend his time however he wishes. He adds that once the test is over, free time will become extremely scarce. From the 4th grade onward, assassins are required to constantly accept assignments. Soon after the conversation ends, Ryan packs his belongings and departs. His destination appears to be the Dark Zone, also known ominously as the Hatland of Death. Later that night, an escort group encounters Ryan, who is kneeling helplessly in the middle of the road. The red-haired guard captain named Kennel shouts at Ryan, demanding to know why he is blocking their path. With tears welling and his ankle wrapped in bandages, Ryan claims he sprained it badly and begs them to take him to the nearby village, acting convincingly frightened of dying alone under the sun. Kennel scolds him, saying he could have been executed for stopping a noble carriage on official business. Ryan counters by pointing out they are traveling via a hidden route rather than the main road, implying secrecy. Crying harder, Ryan pleads for mercy, asking Kennel to save a helpless young boy. At that moment, the noblewoman inside the carriage orders Kennel to allow Ryan aboard. Kennel initially refuses to comply. The noble suggests placing Ryan on one of the horses instead, and despite his objections, Kennel reluctantly lifts Ryan onto his mount. As they continue, the soldiers tease Kennel, joking that the boy suits him well. They ask Ryan his name, and he introduces himself as Rian from Fainton. Kennel tells Ryan he is fortunate to have crossed paths with such a kind, noble lady. Unknown to them, this encounter was meticulously planned by Ryan, as the noble they escort is Sainton Rose of House Rose, bearing the Rose crest. While scouting his travel route, Ryan discovered that Rose's caravan would pass through the same road. House Rose had lived quietly on the frontier, but after the sudden death of their family head, Rose began seeking asylum. As a minor border house, her escort consisted only of private soldiers hastily promoted to knights for the journey. Soon, Ryan overhears the soldiers discussing the fall of House Rose. Many of them believe House Sermon was responsible. This surprises Ryan, as none of his research suggested Sermon's involvement. He recalls finding no concrete link pointing to Sermon. Kennel asks the soldiers why they blame Sermon, and one claims to have heard rumors. The soldier alleges that House Sermon assassinated Rose's head to conceal collusion, a claim that shocks Ryan deeply. Later, the group stops to set up camp. Ryan chooses to sit away from the others. He realizes the soldiers believe House Rose's downfall stems from the ongoing feud between House Sermon and House Fayette. Sermon belongs to Darren, while Phaeton serves Fainstreet, and the conflict began when Rose's eldest son became a Sermon knight despite being from enemy lands. That son later died during border duty, after which House Sermon provided extensive aid to House Rose in his honor. Another rival, House Ani, resented Rose's rise under Sermon's backing and secretly allied with House Phaeton to exploit the feud. This culminated in the assassination of House Rose's leader, followed by claims that Sermon ordered it to hide evidence of cooperation. House Rose protested, insisting Ani commission the killing, but Phaeton had already framed Sermon as the culprit. With their leader dead and no power left, House Rose had no option but to seek asylum in the Grand Duchy. Those who know the truth include Kennel, recently knighted and loyal to Rose, along with a few insiders who abandoned her due to fear and lack of true knighthood. Ryan believes the asylum journey will be extremely perilous. At the same time, Kennel explains the real situation to the soldiers, revealing that Rose is pursued by Ani's second son, not House Sermon. He adds that House Sermon even helped secure Darren's approval for the asylum request. Kennel says Sermon scraped together its remaining resources to support House Rose. Upon hearing this, the soldiers raise a toast, praising House Sermon for being wrong. One soldier offers Ryan a bowl of soup, which he gratefully accepts. They assume Ryan is bored by the tale, unaware of his deep connection to House Sermon. John politely asks if they mind him listening. The soldiers tell him it is no problem at all. Still, they believe Saint and Rose is suffering the most. Deep down, Ryan agrees, because the soldiers fail to grasp how dire the situation truly is. Consequence of their inexperience, Ryan knows House Ani will not stop with a single assassination. The most dangerous member is Ani's second son, barely 20, who already issued 3 assassination requests, all rejected for being excessively brutal, as he is known to prey on the weak. And Ryan also heard the man maintains extreme personal security, making assassination nearly impossible. Knowing such a person hunts Saint and Rose, Ryan doubts they can afford a peaceful camp. Suddenly, Ryan senses eyes watching them. He briefly considers killing the observers, but abandons the idea, knowing the route would already be reported. Instead, he decides to set traps to slow any pursuit. Later, Ryan returns looking filthy. When questioned about his absence, he claims he slipped while relieving himself. In truth, Ryan had been laying traps for their pursuers and believes he said enough to delay them. With the information he needed gathered, he plans to leave freely after reaching the next village. The following morning, they reach the crossroads where Ryan parts ways, thanking them for the ride, and Kennel asks why he heads toward a village near the dark zone. Ryan explains he is a traveling peddler, seeking monster materials to sell in Fainton. Kennel then hands him a recovery potion, saying it is from Sainton. Kennel explains that Sainton worries his injuries have not healed, and believes he will need the potion. He adds that Sainton felt they enjoyed rare peace thanks to Ryan. Ryan sincerely appreciates the kindness, and offers his thanks. As they depart, the soldiers tease Kennel again, saying he would have helped Rian regardless of Sainton's orders. Embarrassed, Kennel shouts at them to move on before they expose all his secrets. Once alone, Ryan drinks the recovery potion. Barely finishing it, 6 mounted men suddenly appear nearby. Instantly, Ryan knows they are chasing Sainton. 2 are regular mercenaries, alongside 2 novice swordsmen, a mage, and 1 hooded man whose noble aura is unmistakable, because he is clearly of noble birth. Ryan quickly identifies him as Garuda Ani, the second son of House Ani. As they pass him by, Ryan realizes the pursuers are far stronger than expected. His traps barely slowed them, and he nearly complains about doing so much work for a bowl of soup, until he remembers he was also given a bottle of recovery potion. The price for that came out to roughly 20 silver coins. Ryan clearly understands that House Rose is doomed, since the attackers plan to slaughter the guards and abduct Satan afterward. Still, Ryan ultimately chooses to intervene, treating the potion as payment made in advance. This forces him to act fast and execute his strategy with precision. Ryan decides to enlist Cornac's assistance and summons him to assign his very first task. Not long after, Kennel senses a looming threat closing in from behind. He immediately warns his companions that they must pick up the pace. Kennel advises Sainton to brace herself because the carriage may start shaking. His teammates question the sudden urgency of their movement. He explains that enemies capable of using mana are chasing them. Kennel pushes everyone forward, noting they are nearly at the border. Kennel orders the soldiers gain, and Shaku to escort Sainton to the border if the pursuers close in. He adds that once across, the Ani family would hesitate to provoke the Darren border guards. Kennel then turns back, declaring he will hold the enemy off. As the others flee, Kennel shuts his eyes and exhales deeply, aware of what awaits him. Kennel remains ready to die for House Rose despite his recent knighthood. Soon after, the pursuing force encounters Kennel head-on. He orders them to halt immediately. Kennel dismounts and channels his aura as he advances toward them. He commands them to retreat at once or face death. Garuda bursts into laughter at the threat. He mocks Kennel, saying a knighthood means nothing. Garuda removes his mask without hesitation. One soldier questions whether exposing themselves is wise. Garuda replies that only Satan matters, since everyone else will die anyway. Garuda orders 2 novice swordsmen to seize Satan before she reaches the border. Kennel tries to intercept them, but a spell blasts toward him, forcing him aside. The impact grazes Kennel, making him spit out blood. He realizes a dangerous mage is among their ranks. Garuda reassures him that a fellow knight will deal with him. At that moment, a seasoned knight dismounts. Kennel freezes in shock upon recognizing the man. It is Commander Saizo, former leader of the Rose Knights, and Kennel demands to know why he betrayed them. Garuda interrupts, claiming it was for money, while Saizo admits he refuses to starve after the Rose family's fall. Garuda signals Saizo to engage Kennel. Saizo attacks with a powerful swing. Kennel questions whether Saizo has abandoned all knightly honor. Saizo responds that morals no longer matter in this new world. Overmatched, Kennel is quickly disarmed by Saizo. Eyes urges him to surrender and serve a different master. Kennel refuses without hesitation. Enraged, Garuda orders Saizo to execute Kennel and resume the chase. Kneeling calmly, Kennel prepares for death as Saizo apologizes. Just as the fatal blow is about to fall, magic blast strikes Saizo from behind. The entire group spins around in alarm. They see Kornak glaring at them with deadly intent. Saizo continues shouting defiantly. Kornak unleashes another barrage of spells at the group. The mage blocks the attack, but admits Kornak's power is formidable. Saizo is caught by the magic and dies on the spot. Elsewhere, the two swordsmen slaughter the remaining guards. Only Chaku and Gaian are left standing. Despite knowing they are outmatched, Chaku and Gaian refuse to retreat. The enemies scoff and tell them to leave, saying they are not worth the effort. That moment, Satan steps out of the carriage. She praises her guards for enduring as long as they did. Shockingly, she brandishes a dagger and demands her guards be spared. She threatens to take her own life otherwise. Satan is confident their leader would never want that outcome. Enemy soldier claims he has misunderstood the situation. He says she holds no noble status until reaching there. Therefore, he has no obligation to obey her. He declares he can act however he pleases. One man grabs Satan, threatening punishment for defying a mono-wielding knight. Just as he is about to harm her, Rion suddenly flies in, hooded, and kicks him square in the face. Man slams into the ground, blood spraying from his mouth. The other enemy assumes a defensive stance, demanding to know who dared attack them. Standing over his fallen foe, Rion mocks them, saying their weakness caught his interest. Rion then asks Satan if she wants to hire a Mardung assassin. Suggestion leaves Satan stunned. Even the enemy knight is baffled and questions Rion's loyalty, but Rion ignores him. Satan makes her first proposal. She offers Rion 30 gold coins. Rion is amused that she understands so quickly. Still, he tells her the amount is insufficient for the enemies present. He adds that the sum would not even cover facing a third circle mate. Rion urges her to decide fast, or he will walk away. Satan knows their struggle will be meaningless without him. She realizes there is no time to worry about consequences if House Rose is to survive. She vows to give him everything she owns. She shouts that he can have whatever he desires. Drawn in by the promise, Rion accepts immediately. He removes his hood at last. Enemy mocks him for revealing himself as an assassin. Rion replies that secrecy is for cowards without ambition. He lunges forward and throws his dagger. The man fails to react and is pierced clean through. His body collapses onto the ground. Rion turns away with visible pride. His first official contract grants him the full fortune of House Rose. He looks at his hand, confident as he imagines forging his reputation. Suddenly, the impaled man rises again. He tells Rion that fighters like them are not easily killed. The plural wording alerts Rion that more enemies remain. The other foe he struck earlier stands up and charges for Rion's head. Rion narrowly evades the blow. Thanks to his extraordinary agility, two opponents face each other side by side. They are prepared to eliminate Rion for daring to accept a commission from House Rose. The pair boast about their flawless and unhinged sword techniques, confident they can overwhelm Rion with them. They strike at him, but Rion instantly activates body domination. He follows it up with acceleration before charging straight at both of them. Their opening strikes fail to connect, leaving behind nothing but afterimages. They soon realize their blades are cutting through empty air. One suggests retreating briefly to launch a coordinated counterattack. Unfortunately for them, Rion has already anticipated this move. Unbeknownst to them, Rion has already inflicted body weakness blackout, an auditory disruption to dull their senses. When the effects become clear, panic starts to set in. They finally grasp that Rion also wields Necromancer abilities. With no way out, Rion effortlessly slits both of their throats, dispatches them brutally as Satan, and her guards witness the scene. Shortly after, Kennel arrives at the location. He feels immense relief, seeing that Satan is unharmed. Satan breaks down in tears when she realizes Kennel survived and returned. Chaku and Gaian are stunned to see Kennel safe and ask if he stopped the pursuers. Kennel explains that a mysterious mage intervened, and Kornak appears behind him holding Garuda captive. Kennel reveals Kornak defeated Saizo and the mage and successfully captured Garuda. Everyone wonders what kind of being Kornak truly is. Rion then steps forward and takes charge of the situation. He casually releases Garuda from Kornak's hold. Kennel finally recognizes the boy beside them as Rion. Satan reveals Rion is a Mardung assassin, causing Kennel to nearly lose control in shock. It suddenly becomes clear to Kennel how Rion crushed the enemy forces. The moment Garuda learns Rion is an assassin, he attempts to negotiate, offering triple whatever Satan promised. Garuda insists everything boils down to gold for an assassin. Enraged by the insult, Rion slices Garuda cleanly in half. He coldly tells him to stop talking. Rion fumes at being treated like a low-tier mercenary, without knowing the full reward. Rion approaches Satan and reminds her of her promise. Explains Mardung does not tolerate delayed payments. Trembling, Satan assures Ryan she fully remembers their deal. Ryan tells Satan he will delay collecting payment due to the house's circumstances. He instructs Satan to submit the promised 30 gold through the guild officially. The remaining compensation will be upheld as a verbal contract between them. Satan agrees, and Ryan orders the group to continue their journey. He promises no more pursuers will come, says the guild will handle the corpses, and advises them to claim bandit attacks if questioned. Ryan notes the guards will understand, leaving the knights amazed by his calm efficiency. Kennel opens his mouth to ask Ryan something, only to realize Ryan has already disappeared. Afterward, Kennel remarks that there is far more to Ryan than meets the eye, especially since he openly calls himself an assassin, yet commands an incredibly powerful undead. Kennel adds that the shock deepens because the undead could speak human language. Cornak's sheer strength alone is terrifying. Combined with the fact he serves under Ryan, it highlights just how monstrous Ryan's power truly is. Kennel concludes Ryan must be a disciple of the legendary Necromancer Veda. Satan and the others panic upon hearing this theory. They question whether commanding a spell casting undead makes Ryan another Veda. Kennel explains such an undead defies normal standards, overpowering both a third-circle mage and a swordsman. Chaku warns that being tied to Veda could bring dangerous consequences. At that moment, Satan interrupts. She orders absolute secrecy regarding everything that happened. She clarifies she does not mind Garuda's death becoming public knowledge. The silence is meant to protect Ryan, the compassionate assassin who saved them. Satan tells everyone to conceal Ryan's link to Veda, especially since the suspicion may be true. Kennel is stunned, realizing Satan has changed since leaving the castle. He notices her eyes no longer carry the despair she once had during exile. Satan asks if Kennel can still travel and urges him to submit an assassination request in faint. He wants Garuda's assassination formally commissioned, as Ryan instructed. Though Kennel worries about leaving her, Satan trusts Ryan's assurance of safety. Satan encourages everyone to focus on what they can accomplish now. She confidently speaks of establishing influence in Darren, so House Rose can rise again. Satan even dances lightly, urging haste while promising to help fix the wagon, as Ryan watches silently. Feels satisfied with what he has observed. Deep within, Ryan understands that Satan's darker nature will soon surface. History reveals an event that caused warlocks to become forbidden across Drea. This catastrophe plunged the continent into darkness and was called the Black and White War. During that era, warlocks rose simultaneously and began their rebellion. Seeking to summon the Demon King, they massacred civilians and used blood rituals. Unsatisfied, they seized the southern kingdom of Lyco and attempted to summon the demon world there. Their actions ignited a massive war that engulfed all of Drea. Other races, humanity included, united to resist the demons and the warlocks together. Amid this chaos, the Necromancer Veda emerged. Though necromancers were grouped with warlocks, Veda stood apart, healed those wounded by dark magic, and restored countless lives. Veda also eradicated warlocks across battlefields. As a result, many allies revered him as a saint. Veda only raised undead from those who willingly chose service beyond death. Rumors claim these undead possessed power beyond normal limits. Because of Veda's deeds, views on necromancers shifted and the war was won. Afterward, Veda rejected all rewards and vanished without a trace. Reflecting on Satan's words, Ryan feels revealing Cornak was the right decision. He is also impressed by Satan's composure, seeing leadership potential in her. Ryan admits to himself that every action he takes is for the future. House Rose is weak now. Ryan trusts Satan as its future head. Soon after, Ryan reaches the Dark Zone's entrance on the 12th floor, plunges directly into the dungeon. Before long, he descends so deep that sunlight cannot reach him. Light still exists inside, yet the darkness threatens to swallow it. Terrifying entities emerge at times, but Drea is defended relentlessly, with Saruman leading Dark Zone research. The dungeon's vast maze-like structure causes endless disorientation, forming Drea's natural boundary. Floors 1 to 6 remain unconfirmed, while floors 7 through 12 are fully explored. As the floor level rises, it gets closer to the surface, and the monsters grow noticeably weaker. For instance, the 12th floor where he now stands contains creatures such as goblins, altered beasts, and even orcs. Ryan feels relieved that he had thoroughly studied this region back when he traveled with the Sermon family. Through that research, Ryan concluded it was an ideal spot for grinding levels, proved far more efficient than chasing widely scattered monsters across the Drea continent. This area is packed with enemies, making it far more appealing for someone like Rian who thinks like a player. Maps and compasses are completely unreliable in the Dark Zone, leaving mana sensing as the only means of navigation. In practice, the 12th floor matches the difficulty of a novice hunting ground, and its maze-like design keeps visitors rare. Because of this isolation, Ryan feels free to test and fully release abilities he had long kept suppressed. He is especially eager to finally make use use of his hidden Necromancer abilities. Without hesitation, he activates his power and reanimates the goblins he just slew. Since goblins are relatively fragile, Ryan decides to use them as expendable frontline shields. He activates the Hand of Death skill, enhancing the strength of the resurrected goblins, and sends them spreading throughout the surrounding area. Ryan calmly observes as his undead tear through nearby monsters, confident nothing on this floor can truly threaten him. When the number of undead reaches 30, they stop increasing, leading Ryan to realize his current limit is capped at 30. The limitation frustrates him, since at his peak he once commanded countless undead. He views the undead as puppets requiring constant individual control, while steadily consuming his mana. Despite his strong mental discipline built from experience, his insufficient mana reserves present a serious obstacle. Even while seeking growth in the Dark Zone, he knows overcoming his mana deficiency must be a priority. To move forward, Ryan realizes the only path is to defeat the floor's ruling boss. As time passes, Ryan comes to understand that he has already slain nearly 100 orcs and goblins. This forces him to acknowledge just how dense the monster population inside the dungeon truly is. Likens it to countless dungeons fused together, endlessly spewing monsters without pause. On top of that, creatures within the Dark Zone do not disappear when killed. Instead, they resurrect after a fixed amount of time. On the Drea continent, some monsters coexist with humans or form societies and are seen as races, but the beings in the Dark Zone are pure beasts driven only by killing. Ryan decides to block out all other concerns, chooses to dedicate his attention solely to strengthening his magic and refining his abilities, including further development of Cornac II. Ryan sits down to meditate and begins pushing his levels higher. Soon after, he realizes leveling has reached its limit, meaning future growth must come from outside the system. Suddenly, a notification appears saying Cornac has discovered a bone it favors. The item turns out to be a goblin shaman's finger bone, granting a 1-point increase to magic. Ryan is stunned when he notices this result, reason being that Cornac is essentially an evolving undead. It hits him that nurturing one powerful undead would be far more efficient than sustaining many weak ones. Still, he is uncertain whether Cornac can be properly developed, since it is an unfamiliar undead type. Ryan opens his storage space and retrieves several preserved bodies. These are the corpses of Garuda knights he saved earlier. Ryan feels relieved that he chose to keep them. Their souls can now serve as material for experimentation. Ryan begins extracting the souls from the bodies. He understands that success here could grant the power he desperately needs. Power required to confront the terrifying floor guardian. The 12th floor's guardian is infamous, with its legend spreading among past challengers. Boss is revealed to be an exceptional orc, known within the Sermon family as the Human Slayer. Ryan once believed this title was overstated. Facing the creature directly completely overturns that belief. At that moment, the orc exhales a suffocating presence toward him. The system warns of orc fear causing temporary stat loss, but Ryan resists using the blue earth breathing technique. He declares to the boss that he has already prepared everything needed to challenge it. The floor itself is laid out like a labyrinth. Ryan determines that agility and movement will be the deciding factors. Without delay, Ryan mounts a zombie wolf raised from the orc chieftain's former mount. Though the zombie wolf will vanish once the magic fades, Ryan trusts it will last long enough. Fighting the undead wolf, Ryan circles the human slayer and evaluates the battlefield. He concludes the name is well earned, as even the Sermon family requires full knight and mage squads to hunt it. Ryo notices the beast's power is amplified by the intimidating aura it releases. Ryan believes this overwhelming presence creates an opening instead. In an instant, Ryan appears behind the monster. He launches a sudden strike against the orc. Despite the effort, the blow is not fatal, leading him to suspect his assassin rank is insufficient. Refusing to retreat, Ryan worsens the injury with the wound aggravation skill. The orc howls in agony as pain surges through it. Its back cracks violently under the torment. Ryan expects the monster to collapse and die. This expectation comes from the curse-based nature of the skill used. Instead, the orc activates a berserk ability. It suppresses pain and releases even greater strength. Ryan realizes brute force alone will never defeat this enemy. Ryan immediately turns to summoning the undead, bringing them under his direct control. He also releases Garuda's fallen companions. Despite a previous failure in experimentation, he believes undead enchantment offers a new path to growth. Ryan consumes the souls of the deceased knights, using them to empower his undead forces. To his surprise, the system allows temporary access to the knights' abilities. Cornac also devours the soul of a mage. He is notified that Cornac's abilities are fully enhanced through soul sacrifice. Additionally, Kornak inherits fragments of knowledge from its previous life. With this advantage, Rion orders Kornak to lead the undead. The army advances immediately toward the human slayer. They inflict multiple wounds across its body. Even so, after some time passes, human slayer remains standing, despite undead poison triggering upon their deaths. Rion activates Commander's Eye to assess the inflicted damage. Although the damage is immense, every undead goblin has been destroyed. Rion feels no regret, knowing they were meant to be expendable. Lingering poison weakens the orc's berserk state. Rion shouts for Kornak to end the battle. Kornak leaps high into the air, forming a massive magic circle above. Releases a catastrophic fire-based spell. The attack is large enough to engulf the human slayer entirely. As the firebolt descends toward its target, the human slayer screams in terror, sensing its doom. Firebolt strikes at last, incinerating every cell within the orc's body, forcing the monster to collapse. As it exhales its final breath, Rion acknowledges that the orc truly earned its fearsome title. Rion dismisses the remaining undead, sending them back into storage. Notices the orc desperately clinging to life. Rion has no intention of allowing that. He activates the Hand of Death skill, refined over recent days. This reveals a sub-skill linked to it. The sub-skill is known as Life Drain. Rion casts Life Drain on the orc. Stats increase steadily until reaching their limit, at which point he can absorb no more power. The system announces special experience for being the first to defeat the human slayer. His level rises, and he learns phantom traits allow soul extraction on the boss, with a 57% success rate. Rion is stunned, realizing named bosses in dark zones can have souls, suggesting floor guardians are exceptions. Even with only a 57% chance, Rion refuses to waste the opportunity. Rion activates the soul extraction process, releasing a surge of dark energy. The dark force seeps directly into the orc's remains. Against expectations, the soul extraction succeeds. However, Rion immediately encounters an unforeseen issue. Rather than dissolving, the orc's corpse stays intact despite the soul already being removed. This causes concern, because the body should normally vanish and later regenerate for future challengers. Rion knows the Sermon family knights will eventually patrol and discover the corpse as it is. Sometime later, knights from the family arrive on the floor. To their astonishment, they stumble upon the aftermath of a brutal clash, confirming rumors that the human slayer was hunted. They assume the fighters involved were veterans supported by elite spellcasters. Still, they find it strange, since no reports mentioned a large force entering the dark zone. Battle scars on the terrain further shock them, revealing expert monster combat techniques. It soon becomes clear that the human slayer has been defeated. Fear follows as they worry the absence of a guardian will cause the 12th floor's monsters to riot. Their leader orders the team to suppress the monsters at all costs. One knight notices his one-armed comrade Zhang seems distracted. When questioned, Zhang brushes it off and urges a quick retreat. Internally, Zhang is thrilled, realizing the scene is a signal from Rion and his mission has begun. Meanwhile, Rion reaches the 11th floor, a region dominated by swamps and vast lakes, completely unlike the previous floor. Shortly after, he opens his storage and summons the human slayer's body. Although the corpse should have vanished, it strangely remains bound to Rion. At the same time, an unexpected development occurs. Multiple quests appear, totaling 4 paths: Revenge, Assassin, Necromancer, and Soul. The first 2 unlocked after defeating 8 and reaching Mardon. The latter 2 emerged only after the human slayer was defeated. Just as he attempts to review the details, 2 newer quests suddenly combine, forming a single main quest, Veda's Legacy. Rion is stunned to see the Assassin path reclassified as a job quest. The Revenge path opens subquests requiring the rebuilding of the Sermon family. Assassin path demands earning a Class 4 Assassin qualification in Mardon. Rion is amazed by the system's evolution, which had been useless in Drea but active here, making him question its timing. For Veda's Legacy, he is instructed to resurrect the human slayer as undead. He wonders whether this is coincidence or if the human slayer is tied to Veda. Confused by recent events, he decides completing the quest is the only way forward. Rion immediately puts the mission into motion and attempts to resurrect the human slayer. A deep violet aura blankets the entire area. Rion channels increasing amounts of power. He struggles to pull the human slayer back from the abyss. Soon he realizes his mana is draining at an alarming pace. By the time he nearly collapses, the human slayer appears, but its body is visibly incomplete. The revived creature approaches Rion, kneels before him, confirming Veda's Legacy is complete. Yet a new quest appears requiring the human slayer's completion. He learns that a hero's soul is required to finish the process. Rian feels frustrated after exhausting all his mana, only for the human slayer to emerge unfinished. Moments later, Ryan sends the human slayer into combat. Despite being incomplete, it proves terrifying as it tears through monsters effortlessly. However, this power comes with drawbacks. As a unique entity, the human slayer can be stored without degrading, but it demands constant mana supply, making Ryan worry about raising other undead. Still, he devises a strategy using Kornak for ranged combat and the skeleton berserker as a frontline tank. Ryan watches as the skeleton berserker rampages, eliminating monsters. Suddenly, he remembers another purpose for coming and realizes he lost focus. He activates the blue earth breathing technique, releasing a detection wave across the region. The scan returns no results. Ryan recalls his original goal was finding his brothers, last seen in the dark zone per Marta. He continues using the technique, hoping for resonance but senses nothing. Still, he refuses to feel discouraged. Reports say his brothers are on the 9th floor deeper below, yet he worries about his current strength. Suddenly, the technique resonates back. He realizes someone from the Sermon family is nearby. Ryan moves to track them. He hides behind a tree, sensing two approaching figures, one lacking knight or mage traits. The other radiates discipline and gear presence, and notably has only one arm. Ryan debates revealing himself, suspecting Sermon involvement. That hesitation ends when Cena appears behind him, teasing his altered appearance. Ryan nearly panics at seeing Sena, shouting in shock. To his surprise, the others are Truno and Zhang. Truno greets him, saying he would not have recognized Ryan without the breathing technique. Zhang explains they followed his traces and detected the blue earth technique activation. Truno had told Zhang any anomaly meant Ryan's arrival, and Zhang proudly claims his role. Suddenly, a terrifying female presence freezes Ryan from behind. The woman speaks gently, expressing relief that he is safe. Ryan recovers and greets her, realizing she is his mother. She had always been busy for the family's sake, something Ryan once failed to understand. Rarely seeing her, Ryan harbored quiet resentment. Now he understands her efforts were to protect her last remaining son. Before further words are exchanged, Siana erects a protective barrier. Ryan notices Zhang's missing arm with surprise. Zhang casually explains it was due to his failure during the Phaeton ambush, which led to his current duty guarding Truno. Truno reveals he has been hiding in the Dark Zone since being declared dead, aided by Sena. She adds the Dark Zone is ideal for planning while avoiding Phaeton eyes, while Ryan silently shoulders the blame. Ryan's mother praises him, saying earning such loyalty from subordinates is no small feat. Selene then grows serious and asks if he truly defeated the finger of Phaeton. Handed sons Phaeton over to Sena. Ryan confirms everything happened as planned. Using sons Phaeton as proof, the Sermon family secured massive compensation. Selene is left speechless, questioning if he is truly her son. Reen answers that he is still Reen, yet inwardly he knows he has changed, though he remains her flesh and blood. Selene smiles with relief and tells Ryan there is one last question she needs to ask. She then asks Ryan why she can clearly feel an aura of death surrounding him. Ryan instantly realizes his mother has sensed the necromantic energy within him, especially since she is both a swordmaster and a paladin. He understands that making excuses would be pointless. Moreover, everyone involved in his plans plays a critical role. That is why he needs them to fully grasp the changes he has undergone. Only then will they follow his plans without doubt or hesitation. Ryan tells his mother he will answer every question honestly. He explains that everything started with a dream, one that felt like a revelation. Ryan describes a vision of the Sermon family's collapse, their lands burning amid war with the Phaeton family. He adds that the Darren kingdom and other great families stood aside and did nothing. During the chaos, Colin and many loyal retainers were slaughtered by Phaeton forces. Hearing this, Truno and Sena realize such a future could have happened if war truly broke out. Jan continues by describing his capture by Phaeton alongside his sister and mother. Despite Alejandro and Sena's desperate resistance, both were killed before his eyes. Ryan explains that years of torment followed until he finally died. He ends by saying that was where the dream concluded. This is why he believes he must act decisively, knowing what he is capable of becoming. After the story ends, Truno is deeply shaken, as it sounds like a veteran's war memories. Even Sena believes Ryan is recalling real experiences, rather than an imagined vision. Selene asks if this dream is truly the source of all his actions, and Ryan confirms it. Truno accepts the explanation easily, knowing the cruelty of the Phaeton family. Sena believes Ryan glimpsed the future, a gift tied to the Sermon bloodline. Selene realizes her son has been acting in secrecy to prevent that future, and she sees he gained the strength needed to do so. Otherwise, he could never have defeated Ape or confronted enemies within the Dark Zone. Dylan then asks Ryan what his plans are moving forward. Ryan is surprised they believe him despite the story sounding unbelievable, but Selene insists he is no longer a child. He says his choices prove he can carry the future of the Sermon family and promises full support. Ryan smiles upon hearing her words. He knows from that moment there is no turning back. Ryan warns his mother that his next request may be unacceptable, yet she urges him to speak. Ryan states that the family must abandon its status as a great family, stuns the others, and Truno quickly argues that doing so would strip them of all privileges. Ryan responds that he understands, but admits their current strength cannot reclaim that status. Rainer explains that great families wield absolute authority, even standing above kingdoms. Selene adds that only great families may represent their world in interdimensional affairs. She asks if he truly means to discard such a title, and Ryan firmly says it is necessary. Ryan explains the Phaeton family will soon declare war, exploiting their weakened state. He reminds them the family lacks the power to survive a direct conflict. Additionally, kingdoms never interfere in wars between great families. Ryan proposes abandoning the title and sheltering under a kingdom to gain legal protection. Ryan steps closer to his mother. He tells her this is not surrender, but a calculated retreat meant to trap their enemies. Ryan asks her to seriously consider his proposal. He warns that the decision must be made quickly. Ryan then adds there is one final request. He insists on bringing his sister Maria back home immediately. Bruno and Sina are shocked, given the family's unstable situation. Ryan tells his mother this step is unavoidable and necessary to draw out her true intentions. He ends by saying that is all he can reveal for now. Selene stuns everyone by agreeing to follow every suggestion Ryan made. Ryan is relieved, knowing this path minimizes needless loss. Selene draws her sword, admitting she is unfit to lead the family. Reen is completely confused by her words. His confusion deepens when she points the blade at him. Selene says she must act as his mother before her duties as knight and matriarch. Explains that Ryan's words mean he intends to shoulder the family's fate. As acting leader, she believes it is her duty to test his worthiness. Selene declares that Ryan must endure one strike from her. Everyone is stunned, and even Ryan fears facing a holy knight of her caliber. Still, he knows he is the only direct heir capable of leading the family. Ryan believes his mother already knows his father and brothers are effectively gone. That is why she intends to pass leadership to him, even unofficially. Selene promises to persuade the elders if he withstands her attack. At that moment, a quest appears instructing Ryan to earn Selene's recognition. Not wanting his mother to bear the family's burdens alone, Ryan resolves that he must succeed no matter what. Even though his mother is both a swordmaster and a paladin, he knows she cannot channel both powers at the same time. If she uses swordmaster techniques, she will rely on mana. If she chooses paladin strength, she must draw upon holy power. Ryan decides to adjust his response accordingly as Selene strikes. Though Ryan perceives the overwhelming force, his mother's speed surpasses his expectations. Selene is shocked when Ryan neither blocks nor dodges. Instead, he allows the blade to pass through him. Surprisingly, Ryan appears unharmed at first. He phased through the attack because Selene used mana. Etherealization, a ghost-based skill Ryan mastered over countless years, made this possible. However, his body is still imperfect, and a cut forms across his chest. Selene rushes forward and catches him before he falls. He anxiously asks if he is injured. Selene attempts to heal him, but Ryan reassures her he is fine. He says he will treasure the wound as proof of her love and his identity as her son. Ryan embraces his mother, sharing a deeply emotional moment. The system notifies him that he has earned Selene's recognition. He gains experience, recognition, and an increased rank for etherealization. Ryan tells his mother he still has tasks he must complete alone. He hands her a letter detailing his plans to restore the family's standing. Selene admits her sadness at not being able to accompany him. Sena informs Ryan that Colin and Alejandro are worried about him. Ryan suggests keeping Alejandro in the dark for now due to his emotional nature. As for Colin, Ryan promises to meet her personally. Truno adds that Alejandro would not resent him, even if he later learns the truth. Soon after, they return to the surface. The group then parts ways. Shortly afterward, Ryan arrives at the Martung intelligence branch in the Darren Kingdom. The receptionist greets him and informs him of a letter from the Phaeton branch. Ryan reads the letter and realizes it concerns the 4th grade promotion exam. The exam document outlines both the requirements for promotion and the mission details. It states that he must eliminate the mage named Goma in Kal, a region under the Darren Kingdom. Ryan recalls hearing Goma's name before and realizes the target suits a 4th-class exam meant to test combat ability. The intelligence report explains that Goma appeared suddenly in Kal and formed a dungeon, after which villagers began vanishing. Mercenaries and adventurers were dispatched but disappeared as well, and since the local lord proved ineffective, the villagers sought Mardong's help. From this, Rian understands his objectives are to clear the dungeon and assassinate Goma, and he soon arrives at the silent village of Kali. An elderly woman approaches him, asks if he is a traveler, and urges him to leave because he is still young. Ryan is taken aback that someone tells him to leave the moment he steps into the village. In a grim tone, the woman warns him of a deathly fog over the village and says men of all ages are disappearing. Ryan is startled to learn that only males have been going missing. The old woman points toward a distant mountain, claiming a sorcerer lives there and feeds on men to gain mana. She repeats her warning, insisting Ryan flee if he values his life. Suddenly, the woman's daughter rushes out of the house. Ryan asks about the village's condition, but the girl denies any problem and says her mother lost her sanity after losing 2 sons. She gestures toward an inn with decent food and rooms while pulling her mother back inside. Reen finds it strange that the daughter's behavior contrasts sharply with her mother's fear. Before being dragged away, the old woman shouts once more for Ryan to leave before the sorcerer devours him. Jan recalls Sapphire's warning about outsiders being lured as sacrifices to spare village men. Completely puzzled by the mixed signals, Ryan decides to stay at the inn first to observe the situation. He feels it would be reckless to hunt the sorcerer immediately, and knows relying solely on official intel is dangerous. As he enters the inn, 2 women stand on a rooftop behind him. They appear to be carefully watching his actions. Shortly after, the inn receptionist mentions the elderly woman and explains that she lost both of her sons. She admits that men have indeed been disappearing, including travelers and mercenaries who pass through the village. She advises Ryan to stay cautious, and he asks what the regional lord is doing to stop it. The receptionist replies that the lord sent his private troops, but they found nothing unusual. He still believes things will improve since villagers pooled money to hire specialists, prompting Ryan to ask for clarification. She reveals they contacted the assassin guild, Mardong, and trusts the guild to resolve everything. Unexpectedly, she also advises Ryan not to remain in the village for long. Soon after, 4 individuals enter the inn. Ryan studies them with curiosity. He quickly notices that one of them is a mage. Their leader orders the receptionist to bring them food. It seems they are waiting for a client and are unhappy about meeting in such a remote place. When Ryan notices the silver badges they wear, he relaxes, sensing their competence. Not long afterward, one of the women from the rooftop comes inside. She walks straight toward Ryan. She politely asks if she can sit next to him, but he ignores her. Despite this, the woman takes a seat beside him anyway. He introduces herself cheerfully as Lavina. Lavina then openly calls Ryan by name. She asks if he is the one, leaving Ryan visibly startled. He suddenly remembers Sapphire saying an assistant would be sent to help with the dungeon. Ryan cannot believe they assigned a guide instead of an assassin, and worse, one careless enough to call him out publicly. Lavina keeps talking nonstop, forcing Ryan to cover her mouth with his hand. He sternly tells her to stay quiet. Lavina whispers excitedly that this is her first time meeting a guild member, but Ryan repeats his warning. Meanwhile, the mercenaries grow impatient as their client has yet to arrive. They mention abandoning a troll hunt, though one urges patience since this is their first dungeon. He believes success could make the Steel Shield mercenary group famous and earn them promotions. Ryan feels relieved that the mercenaries did not overhear him and Lavina. Lavina quietly tells him the mercenaries are inexperienced because they have no idea how horrifying the dungeon truly is.